Have you ever felt, even when your life seems complete, that something vital is missing, like a forgotten piece of your own soul quietly waiting to be found again? Perhaps there are nights when you wake up with a strange certainty pulsing in your chest. This isn't all there is. Something within me is still calling, still hidden, still longing to be remembered. Or maybe, even in your brightest moments, an unexpected chill drifts through, a silent question beneath the laughter and the lights. Who am I, truly? What has been lost beneath these layers of achievement, expectation, and silent fears? If these words resonate with you, know that you are not alone. The yearning to remember your original self, to reach for something sacred, ancient, and deeper than thought, is a silent ache shared by countless souls. There are moments, standing before a mirror, catching a fleeting shadow in your own eyes, or feeling a sudden, inexplicable breeze, when the question returns, what part of myself have I forgotten? Across the world's wisdom traditions, this amnesia has always been acknowledged. The Sufi poet Rumi once wrote, "You wander from room to room, searching for the diamond necklace that is already around your neck." This is not just another New Age mystery. The truth I'm inviting you to explore tonight is older than any philosophy, a memory hidden deep within every human soul, waiting not to be learned, but to be awakened. Let's be clear, this journey is deeply personal. It is not a substitute for therapy or medical advice. Consider it instead as a sacred invitation, a call to remember, to awaken, and to return to your own center. Welcome to the Eye of Wisdom. If you have ever sensed a hidden call within you, this is your space. Take a breath, allow the outside world to fade for a moment, and join us as we begin this journey home, back to the truth of who you truly are.
Have you ever wondered why so many people wake up one day and feel like strangers in their own lives? Why is it that the question, "Who am I really?" echoes in so many hearts, even among those who seem successful on the outside? This is not a personal flaw. It's the invisible epidemic I call soul amnesia, a gradual forgetting of our authentic selves, programmed into us from the earliest moments of life. From the very start, society teaches us how to fit in rather than how to listen within. Think about it. In school, you learn what is expected, not what is true for you. At home, well-meaning parents say, "Be a good boy, act like a smart girl," layering expectation over innocence. Every standard, every judgment, every casual remark about who we should be becomes a mask, until eventually we're living so many scripts that we forget which one is ours. And it's not just anecdotal. Psychologists have shown that by the age of 7, most children have already learned to prioritize approval over authenticity. Social scientists say this happens in every culture, every community. Why? Because belonging was once a matter of survival. We inherited the need to fit in, to be accepted, to avoid being the outsider. But the same wiring that protected us now cages us, pressuring us to trade our truth for acceptance. Let's make it real. Take Sarah, a successful marketing executive. For years, she did everything right: school, career, marriage. But one day, sitting in her car before a big meeting, she realized she didn't remember making a single major life choice based on what she wanted. It was always about making others proud, being responsible, living up to expectations. That moment of clarity was heartbreaking, but it was also the beginning of her awakening. Here's the truth. It's not your fault. This is not a failure of will or character. It's the natural result of a society that prizes conformity over soul, performance over presence. But the good news is, what has been forgotten can always be remembered. How do you know if you're living with soul amnesia? It rarely announces itself with a shout. Instead, it slips in quietly. shaping your days in ways you might not even notice until you suddenly realize you're drifting through life as a stranger to yourself. Maybe you wake up in the morning with a sense of heaviness you can't explain. Maybe you look in the mirror and feel like you're wearing someone else's face. Or you catch yourself acting in ways that don't feel true, agreeing to things you don't want, laughing at jokes that don't land, living out a script you never chose. Life starts to feel less like an adventure and more like an endless performance. The excitement fades, replaced by a dull sense of going through the motions, autopilot, numbness, anxiety, and a chronic sense of being out of place in your own story. This isn't just poetic language, it's psychology. Carl Jung spoke of the split between the authentic self and the false self, the mask we wear to please others and the hidden core that knows what we truly desire. Research from places like Harvard and Stanford has shown that people who live disconnected from their authentic selves experience higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even physical illness. Their minds are busy, but their hearts are silent. The cost of forgetting who we are is real and measurable. Let's look at a real-world example. Think of John, a corporate executive with every outward marker of success. A six-figure salary, a beautiful home, a family. But behind closed doors, he confides that he feels empty, as if he's living someone else's life. He's lost his passion, his sense of wonder. Even his achievements feel hollow, like trophies won in someone else's game. He's not alone. Studies show this emptiness is epidemic, affecting people in every industry, every walk of life. Here's the most important truth. If you've ever felt this way, you are not alone. These are the symptoms of soul amnesia, and they are more common than you think. Recognizing them isn't a sign of failure, it's the first step toward coming home to yourself. What if the most powerful technique for awakening your authentic self has never truly been lost, just hidden, guarded, or forgotten? Across continents and centuries, secret schools of wisdom in ancient Egypt, Greece, India, and the Sufi traditions quietly passed down a practice that was never meant for the masses. Not because it was dangerous, but because it worked too well, liberating people from control, conformity, and soul amnesia. Let's start at the source. In the House of Life in ancient Egypt, priests taught initiates to journey inward, using breath and silence to move beyond ordinary perception. The Greek Orphics believed that through conscious ritual and trance, the soul could be cleansed of false identities and glimpse its divine origins. In India, the sages spoke of smarana, the act of remembering, not learning. For them, spiritual ignorance wasn't a lack of information, but a disconnect from the inner frequency of truth. Even in Sufi mysticism, initiates practiced silent presence and rhythmic breath to pierce the veils of illusion and rediscover the soul's original vibration. At first glance, these traditions seem worlds apart, but they share a core insight. The journey home is not about acquiring something new, it's about removing what isn't truly you. But is there any real proof, or is this just another mystical fantasy? Here's where modern science finally catches up with ancient wisdom. Decades of research now confirm the power of breathwork to shift your state of consciousness and restore inner balance. When you engage in slow, conscious breathing, you don't just calm your mind, you literally rewire your nervous system. Studies published in journals like Frontiers in Human Neuroscience and the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine show that breathwork can reduce anxiety, lower cortisol, and boost emotional clarity. Then there's heart-brain coherence. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute discovered that the heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. Over 40,000 neurons communicate directly with the brain, influencing emotion, intuition, and decision-making. When you synchronize your breath and focus on your heart center, measurable shifts in brainwaves occur. This isn't visualization or placebo, it's biological reality. Even body scan practices, where you gently direct attention through each part of the body, are now proven to decrease stress and increase authentic self-awareness, according to research at Harvard Medical School and Stanford. In other words, your body, your breath, and your awareness are tools for remembering, not escaping your true self. So how does this technique actually work? It unfolds in 3 practical layers. Unmasking. The first step is honest self-inquiry, gently noticing which beliefs, roles, and inner voices are truly yours and which are borrowed from the world. This is the great unmasking, and it can feel raw, but it is the beginning of freedom. Inner compass. Next, you awaken the intuitive guidance system that has always been there. Through breathwork and heart-focused presence, you bypass mental noise and start to feel what is true for you in each moment, before the mind can explain or analyze it away. Living from center. Finally, you bring your daily life into alignment with this remembered self. Simple rituals, morning check-ins, embodied decision-making, evening reflections help you live not from the outside in, but from the inside out. This is not superstition. It's not cheap visualization. This is a method tested by time and validated by science, and it's working today. Just ask those who've walked the path. Let's meet Sarah again. 3 days into the practice, sitting quietly in her car before a meeting, she felt it. A sudden wave of memory, a soft but undeniable knowing of who she was before the world told her who to be. She cried, not from sadness, but from relief, the relief of coming home. Her story isn't unique. Every year, thousands quietly rediscovered the wisdom that's been inside them all along. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to remember who you've always been. And the technique is your key. Before any transformation can happen, you must first see what's standing in the way. This is the moment of truth, the great unmasking. Right now, I invite you to pause this video, grab your phone or a notebook, and write down 3 beliefs you hold about yourself. Don't filter, don't judge, just write whatever comes up. Maybe it's, I'm not creative, I'm not good with people, or I'll never be successful. Let the honest answers rise. Now, here's the real magic. For each belief, quietly ask yourself, whose voice is this? If you listen closely, you'll hear echoes, not of your true self, but of parents, teachers, old friends, or even strangers. Perhaps it's your father saying, art is just a hobby, not a career, or a teacher who once said, you're not a leader. Notice how many of your deepest limitations aren't really yours. They are masks, layers you've worn to fit someone else's definition of acceptable, lovable, or safe. Take a breath. This step isn't about blaming anyone. It's about seeing, with honesty and compassion, how much of your identity was shaped by other people's expectations. So many of us drift through years or decades living by someone else's script. We chase approval, avoid disappointment, and perform for acceptance. But underneath, a quiet voice longs to be heard. Who am I if I stop performing? Here's the hardest and most beautiful truth. To remember your authentic self, you must be willing to let the old masks fall away. That can be scary. The mind may whisper, if I change, will anyone still love me? Who will I become? But real freedom comes from facing these fears with courage. This is not the end of your story, it's the beginning. You are not breaking, you are finally becoming whole. If you feel resistance, that's normal. Breathe through it. The path to remembrance begins with honesty and kindness toward yourself. Every mask you shed brings you closer to the soul that's been waiting underneath, untouched, unbroken, and ready to be seen. Now that you've started to peel away the masks, it's time to awaken what's always been quietly guiding you, your inner compass.
This compass is not made of ideas or logic. It's woven into your breath, your heartbeat, the subtle signals that rise from deep within your body. Let's begin with a practice. Gently place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly. Close your eyes if you can. Take a slow breath in through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your chest and belly expand. Hold that breath softly for 2 counts. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat this 3 times. Notice the difference. Automatic breathing keeps you alive, but conscious breathwork brings you home to yourself. Each inhale calls back parts of you that got scattered. Each exhale lets go of what no longer belongs. Why is this so powerful? Because your body never lies. Science now confirms what ancient wisdom has taught for millennia. Our gut feelings, our chest tightening or softening, the warmth or heaviness in our bodies, these are real signals. The body's nervous system is deeply connected to intuition and emotional truth. Your mind may rationalize or doubt, but your body's response is honest, direct, and immediate. Here's a practical way to use this: the full body yes or no. Next time you face a decision, pause. Instead of thinking, what's the right answer? Simply ask yourself, does this feel true for me? Pay close attention to how your body responds. If your chest expands, your breath deepens, and you feel energized, that's a full body yes. If you feel tension, a knot in your stomach, or your breath gets shallow, that's a no. This simple check-in can transform the way you navigate life. Your inner compass will always steer you toward alignment if you dare to listen. Let me share a story. Sarah, whose life looked perfect on the outside, was always anxious and exhausted inside. She tried countless methods to feel better, but never found peace. When she finally learned to check in with her body and honor her gut feelings, everything began to shift. Decisions that once seemed impossible became clear. She left a job that drained her, set boundaries that honored her truth, and started waking up each day feeling more herself than ever before. The transformation wasn't overnight, but it was real and lasting. Remember, your body is not a machine to be controlled or ignored. It's a sacred vessel holding the wisdom your mind can't always name. Every time you listen to it, you move one step closer to your authentic self. So you've begun to shed old masks and learn the language of your body. The next step is to integrate this wisdom into the fabric of your daily life, to actually live from your center. This isn't about waiting for a perfect moment of enlightenment. It's about daily choices, daily rituals, and a gentle, ongoing return to yourself. Every morning, before the world pulls you into its current, pause and ask, what does my authentic self want to experience, to create, to express today? Let this question be your anchor, not just a routine, but a sacred invitation to live from within. Throughout the day, whenever you feel tension, confusion, or simply notice you're drifting into autopilot, stop and take a breath. Bring your awareness back to your body, even for a few seconds. This is your touchstone, your reminder that you can always choose presence. At night, make a habit of a gentle body scan. As you lay in bed, move your attention slowly from head to toe, asking, when did I feel most alive today? When did I feel drained or out of sync? Notice the answers without judgment. This simple practice, repeated each night, rewires your awareness, teaching you to recognize what truly nourishes your soul and what depletes it. As you do this, you'll notice subtle but profound changes. Decisions that once felt heavy become lighter. Your relationships begin to shift. Some will deepen, others may fade. You'll find yourself speaking more honestly, feeling less need to impress or please. You'll discover new energy for creativity, for connection, for simply being present in your own skin. Let me tell you about Michael, who began this process feeling numb and disconnected. Within weeks of living from his center,
checking in each morning, honoring his body's truth throughout the day, and scanning his feelings at night, he found clarity he'd never known before. He started making choices not from fear, but from self-alignment. The old patterns of people-pleasing and self-doubt slowly dissolved, replaced by a quiet confidence that radiated into every area of his life. But remember, this is not a miracle cure. It's an ongoing journey, a practice. Some days you'll feel lost. That's okay. The path home is not a straight line. The real magic is in the return. Each time you choose to listen, to honor yourself, to live from your center. Over time, those moments of alignment become your new foundation. This is the true freedom that can never be taken from you. No matter how committed you are, everyone meets the same guardians at the threshold of real transformation: doubt, fear, and spiritual ego. They appear not to punish you, but to test your resolve and teach you discernment. Doubt often arrives first, soft but persistent. Is any of this even real? Am I just imagining things? If you find yourself questioning, remember, doubt is not a sign of failure, but a signal that you're entering unknown territory. The key is to observe it without letting it define your path. Then comes fear. Not just fear of the unknown, but fear of losing who you've always been. Change can feel like a kind of death, the end of an identity you've carried for decades. When fear arises, don't fight or shame it. Instead, gently ask, what am I truly afraid of losing? And what might I gain if I let go? Let fear become your teacher, pointing you toward the very place you most need healing. Finally, there is spiritual ego, the subtle voice that says, look how awakened I am. I'm different, special. It's easy to fall into this trap when you experience growth or new insights. The lesson here is humility. True awakening is not about feeling superior, but about deepening your compassion for yourself and others. Let me share the story of Rachel. Each time she faced doubt, she wrote it down and kept going. When fear gripped her, she sat with it, breathing deeply until it softened. And when ego whispered, she grounded herself in service, helping others not for recognition, but from genuine care. Over time, these guardians became her guides. Each challenge brought her closer to her true center. The journey is not about avoiding these thresholds, but about meeting them with courage, honesty, and an open heart. There is a moment, sometimes sudden, sometimes so subtle you almost miss it, when something inside you clicks. Colors seem brighter, the air feels lighter. Even the simplest moments, a morning coffee, sunlight through a window, take on a quiet depth. This is the beginning of awakening. You may notice it first as a gentle certainty. This is who I am. Decision-making becomes easier. You start saying no without guilt and yes without apology. There's less chasing after outside approval, less need to perform. Instead of living for others' expectations, you act from a deep sense of alignment. Your choices, big and small, finally feel like they belong to you. But awakening is not a single event. It's a series of layers, each one revealing new truths as you grow. One day, you realize, even when old patterns return, you don't fall back asleep completely. The memory of your true self is now alive within you, a steady flame that won't be put out. You become more present, more honest, more compassionate with yourself and with others. Relationships change. Some people may drift away, while others are drawn to your authenticity. Through it all, you stop seeking to be fixed and start allowing yourself to be real. This is the gift of remembering. Life itself feels richer, deeper, more awake, and so do you. The real magic happens when you bring awakening into the small, ordinary moments of daily life. Keep a simple journal, even if it's just a note on your phone. Write down those nudges, the gut feelings that led you right, or the times your intuition quietly redirected your day. Over time, you'll see a map emerging, one built from your own soul's guidance. Remember, living from your center means having one foot in two worlds. You honor your inner vision while showing up fully for your responsibilities, at work, with family, in the grocery store. Every decision, big or small, becomes an opportunity to check in with your intuition. Does this feel true to me? Does my body say yes, or does it contract? Let your inner compass guide you, even when it means making choices others might not understand. But take care not to force your awakening on others. Not everyone is ready for these conversations, and not every experience needs to be shared. Choose carefully whom you trust with your stories. Sometimes the most sacred insights are meant to be held quietly, like a seed, waiting for the right season. Still, know that your journey matters, not just to you, but to the world. As you live more authentically, you become a quiet catalyst for others. Share when it feels right, offer support to those who ask, and remember, community is how we help each other awaken. Every ripple of truth, no matter how small, can spark.
Awakening isn't the sudden flash of insight. It's a sacred journey, unfolding layer by layer, day by day. Sometimes it comes as a gentle whisper, and other times, it shakes the very foundation of everything you thought you knew. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and a longing for the comfort of the familiar. But remember this, you are never alone. All around the world, souls are quietly awakening, remembering and choosing to live from a deeper, truer place. This is not just personal healing, it is a silent revolution in consciousness. If something stirred inside you tonight, know that it matters. Every step you take back toward your authentic self helps strengthen this collective shift. Even if you don't see it yet, you are a beacon for others. Your courage to question, to feel, and to remember sends ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never know. So I invite you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know if this message resonated with your soul. If this video touched something within you, give it a like and subscribe to join a community of fellow travelers on this path of remembrance. Together, we make this invisible revolution real, one honest moment at a time. May you walk your path with compassion and unshakable faith in your own inner light. May your journey home to yourself bring blessings to everyone you meet along the way. Until next time, stay anchored in your truth, and remember, the greatest transformation always begins within.